nobody got no sympathy for you or your homies. Like, girl, sit the f down. Hey y'all, welcome and/or welcome back to my channel. My name is Janae, if you didn't know, and today's video is another true crime episode. So if you're ready, let's go. All right, y'all. So I guess I did my nails, but I didn't really do my nails. These are just them viral press-ons that have been going around from BT Art Box. But they cute though. So yeah, that's what I did. So from now on, when I really don't feel like doing my nails, but I really feel like being cute, I'm gonna just go ahead and grab me some press-ons, pop them bad boys on, call it a day. But when I feel like being artistic, doing my nails and doing all of the things, that's what y'all get. Okay. So yeah, the kids is back from being out of town over the summer. And yeah, y'all may or may not hear them. I've asked them to be quiet, but y'all really know how that go. And let me tell you something. My babies ain't been back for a full week yet. And the amount of times that I have been humbled by my daughter is unreal. But I'm happy they back though. I missed them. Even though they have mommed me half to death already. But yeah, y'all, we're gonna go ahead and hop right into today's case. And if you've been rocking with me for a little minute now, then you already know that we are going from the stoops to the coops of America in alphabetical order. So from Alabama to Wyoming, and today we are in New Mexico. So it's March 2nd, 2022 in Santa Fe, New Mexico, when they get a call to their dispatch center. And the person on the call is reporting a carjacking and a kidnapping. And the call is coming from the parking lot of the Vizcaya apartment complex. And the caller said that he's not the one being carjacked and kidnapped. He said that it's a lady running around the parking lot screaming, "Help, help, he got a knife." And she asked him to call the police. He was pretty much like, "All right, I can't do nothing about you getting kidnapped, but I can at least call the police for you." So as he's backing out to leave the parking lot, he's calling the police.
"There's a lady out in my parking lot here at the Vizcaya Apartments. She asked me to call the police. Somebody's in her car, won't get out. She says he has a knife held on her. She's now leaving. She's in a white Malibu."
The caller is a man named Richard, and luckily he was able to give a description of the vehicle, and he said that it was a white Chevy Malibu. So as dispatch is relaying this message to officers in the field, Richard is on about his way to the grocery store. And luckily, Officer Mike Romero was in the vicinity of the Vizcaya Apartments, and he spotted the white Chevy Malibu. And so he kind of pulled up on it, but he didn't get too close. And he was trying to get a read on the license plates, but unfortunately he was still too far away from it to actually get a read. But when the suspect saw that Officer Romero was even in its vicinity, the suspect decided to peace out. But when another officer named Robert Duran, who was also responding to the kidnapping, saw that the white Malibu had pulled off, he got right behind it. And this is when a high-speed chase began. And there's multiple officers in this pursuit at this point, because a kidnapping with a weapon involved is priority one. So that's like high status for police respondents. And so they need to stop this suspect vehicle ASAP and get that kidnapped victim out of there. So there's 2 or 3 cars in pursuit behind this suspect car, and the suspect is weaving in and out of traffic, going crazy, driving up and down the interstate. Now luckily, the traffic on this particular interstate at this time was fairly light, so it wasn't so bad. Now don't get me wrong, it was still bad for them to be driving like that and doing all this, because they were still putting people's lives in danger. But there's less lives at risk had the interstate been full. But even so, even though the traffic is fairly light, the police are still trying to strategize on how to stop this car and keep the patrons that are on the road safe. Because the driver of this car was OC. And I mean, of course they were. They was on a high-speed chase. And at some point, the car even crossed the median into oncoming traffic. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen any footage of high-speed chases, but during the pursuit, officers are always constantly updating dispatch on what's going on. So once this car crosses the median into oncoming traffic, the officer who is, I want to say, 2 cars behind, so there's the suspect car, there's a police vehicle, and then there's another police vehicle. The officer in the second car relays to dispatch that they are now in oncoming traffic. So a couple of officers who wasn't necessarily in the pursuit, but they were a couple of miles ahead, like in the direction that the pursuit was going, so they was further up, They were instructed to potentially see if they could halt or slow down oncoming traffic, the traffic that was coming towards the chase. Like maybe turn on their lights and sirens so people will pull off to the side of the road. Like just see if they could potentially divert the traffic. But by this point, the suspect's speed had reached upwards of 90 miles per hour. So they was coming faster than the officers could divert the traffic. And right before the suspect car gets into a head-on collision with a pickup truck, they swerve out the way. Unfortunately though, the officer who was right behind the suspect vehicle did not have time to maneuver or even think about what was happening before he and the pickup truck collided head on. And there was a small sedan that was right behind the pickup truck that was able to swerve to his left to avoid the accident. But the officer in the second cruiser had the same idea as the driver of the sedan, and he swerved right in order to avoid the collision, causing the second patrol car and the sedan to collide with one another. And I'm about to insert a video of this collision. So if this can be triggering for you, or if you just don't want to see this, then you can skip to this point in the video. But I'm going to include it because I don't know if I explained that properly. So I just want to kind of give y'all a visual. So now, even though that crash happened, the pursuit continued for another mile and a half until the suspect vehicle sideswiped another vehicle, causing the suspect's tire to go flat and the airbags to deploy. And when the car stopped, the victim pretty much did a tuck and roll out of the car and essentially ran towards the police. Well, not necessarily ran, but followed their commands to come towards them. Now, while the one officer gets a hold of the victim, the other officers that was in the area and on the pursuit as well, they got their guns drawn at the car, yelling at the car like, "Get out the car, put your hands up." You know, all the all the stuff that they be saying when they, when they trying to get somebody out the car. Now, naturally, the victim is absolutely hysterical while she is talking to this one officer, and he's trying to get as much information out of her as possible. So he's trying to calm her down. She's screaming and hollering, and he like, "Girl, you good? You with us now? Tell us what happened. Like, where did this person go? Where they at? What's up? They in the car? What's up?" So he calms her down enough to the point where she's able to say that the suspect had run out of the car. Like he ain't in the car no more. He had ran off into the abyss somewhere. And she tells him that the suspect is her boyfriend named Mark Lopez, and that he had a gun and he got a knife and he had hit her before he got out the car. She also gave the officer a description of Mark, and she said that Mark was wearing a red shirt with a black jacket and some dark jeans. And at this point, the paramedics and what seemed like the whole damn police force was on their way to the crash site. When I tell you there was so much going on, it was a lot. So the paramedics get to the crash site and they render aid to the officers and the occupants that was involved in the 4-car collision. Now, the person in the small sedan, I think they was taken to the hospital with a couple of minor injuries. Real quick, the lady in the sedan's name is Alexis Jenkins, and she was not taken to the hospital for minor injuries. She was actually taken to the hospital and treated for multiple life-altering injuries. And I just wanted to acknowledge that I forgot to say that in the video. The officers whose car collided with the sedan, he was treated for, I think it was chest pains. And then when they made it to the occupant of the pickup truck, they noticed that he had a faint pulse. But before they was able to get him out of his pickup truck, the pulse had faded and he would end up being pronounced dead at the scene. And he would later be identified as retired firefighter Frank Lovato. Frank was 62 years old at the time of his death, and he actually started his career as a volunteer firefighter before eventually becoming an engineer with the Las Vegas Fire Department in New Mexico. And a little side note here, I had no idea that there was a Las Vegas in New Mexico. When one of the paramedics had said that she was coming from Las Vegas, child, I thought she was talking about Nevada. Anyways, Frank would end up retiring from the fire department in 2006. It's said that Frank loved spending time with his family and that he was really big on giving, but he never expected nothing in return. He had a wife named Ruby, and they had 3 kids, Charlene, Eric Lee, and Roberta, and they also had 5 grandchildren, all of whom absolutely loved him and would miss him dearly. Now, sadly, there was another casualty in this collision, and that was of the officer who had collided with Frank, and his name is Officer Robert Duran. And at the time of his death, Robert was 43 years old with a wife, Kathleen, and 2 children, Dylan and Jackson. And in addition to being a family man, Robert absolutely loved outdoor activities. Anything outside, Robert was on it. Camping, hunting, ATVs, dirt bikes, whatever. If it's outside, Robert doing it. And prior to his death, Robert had been on the police force for 7 years. And his wife said that he often thought about changing his career, but then when he would think about the ways in which he could help people, he always decided to stay. So now once Officer Durant is pronounced dead at the scene, the news starts to spread over the radio. And the police officers who are down at the suspect vehicle, they hear this. And a couple of them even broke down crying and had to kind of just recompose themselves, because that was tough. And not to say that these officers didn't want this suspect before, but now that there was a dead officer involved, one of their fellow brothers, they really wanted his ass now. Now, by this time, multiple agencies had been called. So there was the Santa Fe Police Department, which was the initial takers of the call. And then there was the county sheriffs and the New Mexico State Police. So all 3 of these agencies was at the crash site and at the suspect vehicle. And multiple agencies had got their TAC and SWAT teams involved in the mix because the suspect was still at large. And even though the victim has said the suspect ran from the vehicle, the officer who was first to be there when the car actually stopped, they said they didn't see no suspect jump out the vehicle. They only saw the victim jump out the vehicle. So either he was the flash or he was still in that car. So just in case he was still in the car, they wanted the TAC and the SWAT team there to be able to handle the situation accordingly. And if he just so happened to be on foot, they also had the canines and the helicopters involved as well. And eventually they was able to clear the car, and unfortunately the suspect wasn't there. And by now the state police had taken over the investigation because the Santa Fe Police Department could no longer investigate because it was one of their own officers who was deceased. So they hand the case over to the New Mexico State Police. And so they do a thorough search of the area looking for the suspect, and they still cannot find this man. So they send some of their officers to go back to the apartment complex to see if they have any surveillance footage that is available. And they also send other officers back to the station with the victim to get her formal statement and to see what the hell happened. And it's at the station where they learned that the victim's name is Janine Jaramillo, and she basically tells them the same thing that she told the officer at the scene. Her boyfriend, Mark Lopez, kidnapped her at knife point. He was beating her up while they was in the car. He took them on a high-speed chase, and when he crashed into the other car and stopped, he ran off into the abyss somewhere. So they take her statement and they let her go after she's cleared by the hospital. And over the next couple of days, as the New Mexico State Police is doing their investigation, they realize that stuff really just ain't adding up. Because number one, the officer who was there when the suspect vehicle stopped never seen a suspect flee the vehicle. Number two, the officers who went to go look at the video surveillance from the apartment complex, they reviewed the video and they didn't see any signs of a kidnapper. And number three, the digital evidence from the car suggests that there was only one person in the car. So everything is looking like Janine faked a kidnapping. Oh, and the key fob to the car that Janine was in, yeah, it was found in the back of that police car that she was sitting in. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot this too. The car that Janine was in, it was reported stolen 2 days prior to the pursuit. So with all of this information in tow, they go pick Janine up on March 5th, 2022. Because girl, did two people just lose their lives for no reason? All because you wanted to be a dumb bitch and fake your own kidnapping? And mind y'all, this is not the first time that Janine had done something like this. Because 7 months prior to Robert and Frank's deaths, Janine was driving a stolen blue sedan, ran into a fence, took police on a high-speed chase reaching upwards of 100 miles per hour, ditched the car, and when they caught up to her, she said that she had been kidnapped. And the person who had kidnapped her was wearing a red shirt and some dark jeans. Damn near the same thing that she told them that Mark was wearing. So like I said, Janine was arrested on March 5th, 2022, and she was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, great bodily injury by a vehicle, receiving a stolen vehicle, aggravated fleeing a law enforcement officer, making a false police report, and reckless driving. And for whatever reason, she decided to plead not guilty. And so her case went to trial in 2024. Now, the prosecution brought forward all of their evidence to suggest that Janine was never kidnapped in the first place. And remember when I said they extracted the digital data from the car? Well, yeah, it basically said that the driver's seat was the only seat that was occupied during the time of the crash. And then they swabbed the airbag for DNA, and only Janine's DNA was found on that airbag. So yeah, all the evidence suggested that Janine was a lying ass bitch. Now the defense, they tried to defend her. They said that the pursuit should have been called off. Mind you, this was a priority 1. They believed that Janine had been kidnapped at knife point. So it was under the assumption that if they didn't catch this person and stop this car, that Janine would have been dead. So once both sides rested, the jury went back to deliberate, and they found Janine guilty as fuck. And during the sentencing, Robert's family spoke, Frank's family spoke, Janine's family spoke, and Janine spoke. We'll talk about that in a minute. But after Kathleen's victim impact statement, Robert's wife, they played a tribute video to Officer Robert Duran, and it was absolutely beautiful. I watched it, and the whole time, Janine was just sitting there looking stupid in the face. Like, she had no emotion. She didn't give a fuck. She just pissed me off, really. And then when her family gave their victim impact statements, the daughter, I understood. But then her little boy toy, quote unquote, fiance, Jerry Chavez, got up there and started speaking. And baby, I wanted to knock the Mario rings out his ass. He pissed me off. His whole statement pissed me off. If I can link it, I'ma link it. But child, he could have kept that. So then it was time for Janine to speak. And this is the only time that this lady showed any type of emotion, while she half-assed tried to apologize and told the families that her getting a lengthy sentence wouldn't bring their loved ones back. And while she's technically correct, it's like, right message, wrong messenger. Girl, shut the fuck up. Ain't nobody got no sympathy for you or your homies. Like, girl, sit the fuck down. Be quiet and take this shit because you did this. She said she wasn't there when the crash occurred, and what the fuck she say? She said she wasn't there when the crash occurred and she didn't kill nobody. While technically, no, she didn't kill nobody, but she caused the deaths of 2 individuals. Girl, please. And when it was time for the judge to speak before she handed Janine her sentence, she handed Janine her ass. But then Janine had the nerve to try to interrupt her. Not try to interrupt her. Janine had the nerve to interrupt her not once, but twice. Like, girl, please. But nonetheless, the judge ended up sentencing her to life without the possibility of parole for both. And then she had additional time for the remaining charges outside of the murders. And so I think it all equated up to like 60 years in prison. So girl, do your time, sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up, become somebody bitch, and leave us alone. Especially the families. And let them live in peace, knowing that even though your lengthy sentence ain't gonna bring their loved ones back, that you ain't never gonna see the outside of prison again. But yeah, y'all, let me know what y'all think about today's case down in the comments below. Thank you all so very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Y'all, this is the second time that I'm filming this video, and not because I didn't like the first one. I actually liked the first one, and I edited it, and I was ready to let it go. But as I was looking for the clips that I'm about to add in this video, I came across the actual trial clips, and I learned so much more information, and I just did not feel comfortable putting that video out knowing the information that I know now. So all of these next bloopers is from the last video, not this one. Bye y'all, for real this time. Damn, that's far away. Last time I fell out my chair trying to reach back. We're not doing that today. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and hop right into the video. And nope, I was about to say, and today, girl, not today. And if you've been here for a little minute now, then you already know that we are going from the stoops to the coops of America. Wait, why the coops? And today we are in New Mexico. I almost forgot. There's less lives at risk at the end of the day. There's less lives at risk. I knew you was gonna call me. Hey, husband.
What's up?
Hey, say hi to my people. I'm recording a video.
Hi, people.
Let me call you when I'm done.
Okay.
All right, love you.
Late too.
All right. No, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Girl, don't come in this camera with your head looking like that. Your hair was so cute before you decided to wash it yourself. When the suspect car sideswipes another, and by this point, and eventually he will become an engineer. Yes. Frank will end up, I don't know what I was just about to say. And he also had 5 cribs. Now by this time, multiple,
And you're not finished.
nope, almost. I'm almost done, Charleston. What's going on? What's up?
I've been waiting for an hour.
You're what?
I've been waiting for an hour.
I can't understand you because
I've been waiting for an hour. You've been doing
girl,
this
hours.
so
No, you
long.
haven't. No, you haven't. In order to look at the judge ended up sending, and I will see, wait.